got a phone call from a lady in Birmingham, Alabama. At the end of the conversation, she said, Zig, she said, I believe this woman thinks she's got an impossible problem, but I believe you can solve that problem with her in just a few minutes if you will spend that time with her. I said, well, Laurie, tell her to meet me backstage. I'll get there about 10 minutes early. My schedule was such that was about all I had. Well, I got there, and I was on backstage behind the curtain on one side. She spotted me from the other side, and as she walked across the stage, I have never seen as much anger in a human being in my life as I saw in her. She almost started crying when she saw me. She said, oh, I'm just so glad to see you. I got this horrible job. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate everybody down there. I mean, you talking about negative nails, she was it. She said, can you help me? Now, understand, I've only got about 10 minutes. So I looked at her, and one thing I have learned, I don't do counseling, but I talk with a lot of people who do, in psychology, psychiatry, and the ministry. And they tell me that everybody who comes to you with a problem are not necessarily looking for a solution. I couldn't understand that for a long time. Why do they bring you a problem if they don't want to solve it? Well, I can tell you why. They want to tell you about it, you about it, you about it, you about it, and you about it. And if you foul up the deal and solve the problem, they can't tell you again, you again. They want the attention that goes with the problem, and every company just about it has that kind of an individual. They want the attention that goes with griping and complaining. Well, I looked at the lady, and it wasn't unkindly, but firmly I said to her, yes, and you know, ma'am, I'm afraid your problem is about to get worse. She said, what do you mean? I said, I believe they're going to fire you. She was stunned. I couldn't have stunned her more if I'd hit her in the face with a bucket of ice water. She said, fire me? Why on earth would they fire me? The inflection in her voice clearly said, they're the bad guys, I'm the good guy. Why don't they fire them and keep me? Have you ever noticed that people who are the problem never recognize that they are? They're in complete denial. They think denial is just a river in Egypt. Why would they fire me? I said, ma'am, I don't believe there's a company in America big enough to contain this much poison in one small spot. Have you ever noticed that when somebody is about to lose something they've been complaining about, whether it's a car, a home, a mate, a job, or whatever, when all of a sudden it appears they're going to lose them, it takes on brand new value. She looked at me and said, well, what can I do? I said, do you really want to know? She said, yes, I do. That's the reason I came to see you. I came looking for help, but you sure haven't been any help so far. I said, well, ma'am, I've got an idea, and I will absolutely guarantee you it positively, definitely, absolutely will work if you will just do it. She said, I'll try anything within reason. I said, okay, when you get home tonight, all of your household tasks are complete. It's bedtime. Get off in a room right by yourself. Get a sheet of paper out, and at the top of it write, I like my job because. She interrupted me. She said, that'll be easy. I don't like nothing about that job. Don't like nothing about those people down there. And I said, well, just as a matter of curiosity, do you work there for benevolent reasons, or do they pay you for working there? She said, well, I got to confess, they pay me. And I said, and you don't like to be paid? Oh, she said, yes, I do. I said, okay, tell you what you do. Open your notebook right now. We'll start our list of the things you like about your job. They pay you for working there, and you do like it, don't you? She said, absolutely. But she just stood there. I said, no, open your notebook now, and we'll get busy on the list. She just stood there. I said, ma'am, let me tell you what my experience in life has been. I've discovered that in 100% of the cases, no exceptions, people who won't take step number one never take step number two. You see, she had come to me with an impossible dream. Her dream was that nice Mr. Ziegler was going to solve all of her problems, and she would live happily ever after. But folks, I got news for you. I can't solve her problems. I can't solve your problems. But I will give you some steps that I'll absolutely, definitely, and positively will work for you, as it worked eventually for her. I said, well, ma'am, let me tell you something. Unless you're willing to take step number one right now, it's been nice talking with you. She angrily opened her notebook. Before we got through, there were 22 things she liked about her job. Not only did they pay her for working there, they paid her above average. She had 3 weeks vacation with pay. She had a retirement program. She was in on profit sharing. She had health insurance, life insurance, and accident insurance. She lived less than 10 minutes from home. She was in on management decisions. The company sent her to 3 seminars a year to be paid for. She had her own private office and parking place. 22 things that she liked about her job. Now I said, ma'am, when you get home tonight, everything is finished. Get off in a room right by yourself, close the doors, change one word from I like my job to I love my job. Get in front of that mirror, and folks, I cannot say this strongly enough, but I'm going to try. The eyes are the windows of the soul. Look yourself in the eye, and with excitement and enthusiasm, say, I love my job because they pay me for working there. I love my job because they pay me above average for working there. I love my job because I have a wonderful insurance program. I love my job before every one of the statements. You will sleep better that night. You see, there's something hidden in what I'm saying to you now. When she says, I like my job, she's really saying, I'm grateful for my job. And of all of the emotions we can have, according to Hans Selye, the #1 stress specialist in America, the healthiest of all human emotions is gratitude. I said, you go down that list. I like my job. I love my job, rather. That is a way of gratitude. You'll sleep better the first night. Tomorrow morning, when you get up, get back in front of the mirror just before you go to work. Get back in front of the mirror and repeat the process again with excitement and enthusiasm. I love my job because, and take the list with you. Because the reality is, you see, you will have started to change from a fault finder to a good finder. Some people do really find fault like there's a reward for it. They really do. Take the list with you, and you will be able to add to that list, absolutely guaranteed. Do this every morning and every night, and you will have an astonishing recovery from this advanced case of stinking thinking. Now, I didn't say that to her, but I'm saying it to you. That's what it was. It was an advanced case of stinking thinking. Well, 6 weeks later, I was back in Birmingham, Alabama. I was doing a follow-up sales seminar. Now, the lady was not in sales, but she had been listening to my tapes. She had been listening to Automobile University, and she had discovered that everybody sells. Everybody who will ever hear this is in selling. Whether you're a school teacher, a civil service worker, a military personnel, an executive secretary, it doesn't make any difference. What you do, you sell every day of your life. There she was at the sales seminar, seated on the front row, grinning so wide she could have eaten a banana sideways. I'm telling you, you're talking about somebody that was excited. She was turned on. I said, well, how you doing? She grinned even more broadly and said, Mr. Ziegler, I'm doing wonderfully well, and thank you for asking. She said, you cannot believe how much those people down there have changed. I got to lay it on the line, folks. You're not going to change anybody else till you change you. Everything really does begin with you. Now, you see, the unfortunate thing, this lady had been raised in a very negative environment. First, her parents had told her that she'd never amount to anything. They had said, you know, you're always late, you're always sloppy, why can't you be like your brother or your sister or whatever? When she got married, her husband had continued it, and so her self-talk had become completely negative. Everything that she said about herself was negative. Like Dad said, I'll never amount to anything. Or like my husband says, I can't do anything right. But when she started changing the input, then some radical change.
What's up, Fire Nation? Another bonus episode coming your way. This one was a great chat. I had a lot of fun with Terry Wilson. Terry is a serial entrepreneur who offers entrepreneurs and solopreneurs the tools, training, and technology needed to earn and enjoy more. For the past 13 years, he's helped thousands of hungry individuals discover their thing, develop the skills to do it, and be given a strategy to deliver it to market and produce value. Terry has a weekly podcast that can be heard on iTunes, Stitcher, and at terrywilson3.com. He also wrote a book called You Are Worth More, which you can check out at youareworthmorebook.com. We have a lot of fun in this episode, Fire Nation. I truly hope you enjoy. It's hard. It is hard work to achieve uncommon success. But you know what else is hard, Terry? Being broke.
You better believe that.
Living paycheck to paycheck, not being able to support your loved ones, not being able to support yourself, not being able to get up in the morning and do something that you want to do, but doing something you have to do. That's hard too. So Terry, my call to action for everybody here is choose your hard. Like back in 2012, it was hard. I spent 32 years of my life doing hard work and making the wrong decision on choosing my hard. I was going down the wrong path. I wasn't having any success. But then I flipped it and I said, you know what? Building this business, Entrepreneurs on Fire, it's going to be hard work. But the alternative is hard too. So I choose the hard of building a life of freedom, of building a life of choice, of building a life of uncommon success. And that's my call to action to everybody hearing our voices today. Choose your hard.
Choose your hard. Boy, I love that. You know, because there's a high cost of low living. And sometimes we think that, you know, we're just going to get out of this easy by taking the path of least resistance. And boy, sometimes the end of that path is just a tiger. I'm telling you, brother, I'm telling you.
Identify your big idea. Not be a weak, pale imitation of somebody else's big idea, which most people do. They're like, oh, look at what Terry's doing. He's so successful. Look what John's doing. I'll just copy them. And then you wonder why you fail, because you're a weak, pale imitation of those people and you will never win as a result. You need to come up with your big idea, your zone of fire, and wake up every day on fire, living that life. That is the life that you deserve. Because what at the end of the day do we really want? Freedom. The ability to wake up and do what we want, where we want to do it, with whom we want to do it with. If you have those three things, what more is there in life? And you can give yourself that gift. Just take it.
Which is identifying why are you here? You know, I like to say it this way. You're not a cosmic accident. You didn't show up on planet Earth because lightning struck a mud puddle billions of years later and you crawled out. You're a significant person with a significant reason for being here. There's a reason for you to be here. And once you identify that big idea, as John just said it, life becomes, oh my gosh, becomes unimaginable. Give us go ahead.
Just on that point real quick. I mean, I think it's so key for people to understand this, like what Terry is just sharing. There is so much wisdom out there in this world, but there's also so much noise and it's chaotic. And sometimes it's so hard to really cut through all of this and to really get to the meat and potatoes, to really get down to what matters.
Does anyone know Terry's story, what Terry did?
I do.
So Terry sold musical instruments, sold pianos, right? And what was it? Was it 9/11 that created the problem?
Yeah.
9/11 creates a problem. Nobody wants to go. There's no money in town anymore. It's a brick and mortar store. Some woman comes up to him in church, some older woman, and she's like, I was thinking about your problem, and the Lord told me you should sell them on the computer. Sell your pianos on the computer. And Terry's like, that's a great idea. I got to get out of here because you're crazy. So, of course, he does it in that sweet way where he says, oh, bless your heart. And
Bless your
he
heart.
thinks about it. And then he's like, you know, he told me about the story about, you know, the guy, it's a flood and, you know, you should get out. No, the Lord's going to save me. And at the end, he goes to God and says, why didn't you save me? He's like, I did. You know, I tried. I sent you the news report. I sent you a helicopter. You know. So Terry takes that and he's like, God's telling me what to do here, right? So that was the message. I should sell these things online. His first thought when the woman tells him that is, how am I gonna, because she said her grandson sold CDs.
On eBay.
Yeah, Terry's like, how am I, you could just I can't put a stamp on a piano. This is crazy.
Drop it in the mailbox.
Yeah, so next day, right? The next day he starts sells them out in a week. So he doesn't think about, he doesn't latch on to his idea of I can't ship these things cheaply, right? He just goes past that. He goes, well, what's my first solution? My first solution is I got to sell these things. That's all he's thinking about. He sells out his whole inventory in a week. Then the problem comes to him. How do I get rid of these things? I've now sold them. How do I deliver them? So what would you guys have done?
Hire a U-Haul and drive them out there.
Yeah, that's what Terry did. Terry got a truck and just was like, well, I'm gonna take my brother-in-law. We're gonna go around the country. We're going everywhere. And he delivered pianos for 2 weeks. That's amazing. And then, and then he's like, oh, and the next thing is I talk.
Welcome to TerryWilson3.com, home of TW3. Are you ready to take your money, business, and life to the next level? You are worth more, and you're about to hear how and why. So buckle up and listen up as we journey to the next level. Please welcome your guys to reach your goals, the TW3 family.
Here's your host, Reagan Wilson.
Hey everybody, you are listening to the TW3 podcast. This is episode 514. If you didn't notice, I have my name in the introduction now, so that's pretty cool.
Hey, but no promotion.
No promotion. It only took a decade, but I finally got my name in there, so that's pretty good. Tonight we have a special member of the family sitting in with us to cover for River while he's out today, but I'll let Dad introduce him when we get there, just in a few moments here. Tonight we're going to be talking about not just surviving, but thriving in business. Right now, there's opportunity all around us, not only to do business, but to grow our businesses. So we look forward to getting into that very soon. Did you know that TW3 not only offers tools and training, but services as well? If you own a business and are finding it more and more difficult to find qualified candidates to speak to, then consider us. Posting on job boards such as Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Monster, and LinkedIn are not generating the applicants they once did. However, with TW3 Recruiting, you can have qualified candidates that meet your criteria for way less than the other guy and have much better candidates. How? Text the word recruit to 864-507-9696. That's recruit to 864-507-9696. Leverage the over 220 million data list members that TW3 has and our tools to reach your ideal client. That's once again, recruit to 864-507-9696. Finally, if you need more customers, more appointments, or just more traffic to offer what you have, then you need TW3. We have 13 plus years of helping thousands of businesses and individuals scale and support their businesses. So whether you are in retail, restaurant, real estate, or insurance agent, or you have an agency, we can help you. Excuse me, I'm reading our notes here. We can. You see this? You reading along with me?
I'm reading along. I'm sorry. You're having to edit. You should have read this before.
Hey, it was pretty good, though. I got up until this point.
You got up to that point.
I think our main point here was, though, if you have an insurance agency, we can help you. We've been doing it for years.
Insurance, real estate, retail, it doesn't matter. If you need people that need, want, desire, and can afford what it is you offer, we got you covered. Just go over to TerryWilson3.com to get a free one-on-one training. Yeah.
I love that we got there, and I could hear as you were reading, you went, oh.
It's like, why didn't you edit this?
Yeah, for real.
I was reading down to our special guest on the panel tonight and part of the family, and I was like, I hope he didn't read some of his lines there, because one of the questions is like, what's your what meditation or medication have you been on lately? I meant modification. I was like, why don't I just take a second to prove?
It's that autocorrect, but
autocorrect.
Well, pretty far.
Without further ado, my brother from another mother up there in the Big Apple, Neil O'Reilly. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing tonight?
Well,
good.
We're better now that you're here to clean this mess up.
Oh, thank God. We got somebody that knows what they're doing.
Finally, a college-educated person on this panel. We can stop.
Look at this.
I completely medicated myself for this. I read the show notes, so if I get incoherent, you know why.
Did you see that mistype in there? Did you read that far down?
I didn't. I just take a lot of medication.
Well, I can't wait till you see it. You'll if you read your lines like Reagan and read it literally, it's like, oh, Terry, what's wrong with you? Oh, my word. Oh, my word. So what's going on in the Big Apple, Neil?
The weather's finally turned. It's great around here. We were in the 20s for a while. Now it's 70 degrees today.
Golly. It's amazing. I think last week it was in the 50s around here after having a week of 70, and it dropped down to 50s in the South. And 50s for a Southerner, Neil, is sort of like, the world comes to an end.
We're struggling.
We're struggling at that point. Everybody's going out buying milk and bread, trying to figure out what's going on. Is this the sixth sign of the seal where Jesus comes back? We're trying to figure out what's going on.
It's the end times. I saw a snowflake.
Yeah, it's the end times, Anyway, well, it's been a great time here at TW3. A lot of things going on. a lot of changes going on. It's great to have you on with us tonight, Neil. I look forward to talking with you about what we're talking about tonight, which is how not to just survive, not to have just a survival mode in your business, but have a thriving mode, because honestly, there's challenges. And we talked about it right before we hit record here. You know, there's crazy stuff going on in the economy and society and everything else, but there's ways to fight against it. Don't you believe?
Yeah. I mean, I think you agree with this. I think the number one way is you got to look at who you hang out with, right?
Better believe it, brother.
You got to make sure your circle is moving you forward. You know, if you're always talking to people who have a negative mindset, you could be as strong as you want, but that's going to beat you down.
Absolutely.
And I think the number one thing I know the number one change that I made is, look, there's some people in my life who are negative I can't get rid of. But I don't talk to them as much anymore.
Yeah.
You have to be intentional about what you do. And then you not only have to limit certain people, but you have to make sure the other people you're dealing with regularly are taking you where you want to go. You know, that's that old expression, if you're the smartest guy in the room, get in another room. But the same thing goes for your attitude. Like, it's okay if you want to focus on success, and success doesn't have to just be money. However you're going to define success, define your success. But you need to be with people who, when they hear your ideas or when they hear where you want to go, doesn't mean they can't give you constructive criticism, but their first reaction should be, you can do that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, not to blow too much smoke, you know, with you guys, but Terry, you know, that's one of the main things that, you know, one of the things I always tell you about why I love talking to you, it's never a downer to talk to you. It's never, you know, even though there have been days when we've had tough conversations where either you or I have brought, you know, things we're dealing with to the table. Each time we're able to lift each other up, because that's what you need. And I know from my past, if you don't have that, it's difficult to swim up against that river. So for me, I would stress to everyone, you know, and if anyone who's listening to this, they're lucky because they clearly have done something to put themselves in a positive community, you know, a success-oriented community. And like I said, it's not just financial success. You know, you have to have, the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Yeah.
So you need a community that understands that holistic approach to life. So that's the first thing I think everyone who's listening tonight should understand. Community like this is important, but also look at your other communities and make sure your other communities are pulling you forward rather than kind of holding you back. And there's no shame in being ruthless about that. Because you're there with Reagan.
Yeah.
Should you take your success and happiness any less seriously? Because if you say, oh, I'll let this guy slide, I'll let this person in my life, they can drag me down a little. Well, that drag is going to come into your house. It always does. So if you're not ruthless about it, it doesn't just impact you. It's going to impact Reagan. It's going to impact your wife. It's going to impact your other kids. So now think about it that way. If someone's saying, well, I can't do that because that's a little too much. All right, well, then you've just made the decision. It's okay for my family to be negatively impacted by this other person that maybe I don't even need to have a tough conversation with. I just need to limit my conversations. You know, that person who used to be a 3-hour-a-week person, maybe they need to be, you know, a 30-minute-a-month person or a 30-minute-a-quarter person. Like, you've really got to think about your time. How are you going to you know, we call it spending our time, but how are you literally spending your time?
Yeah.
So if you have people who are too negative, you know, that just doesn't impact you. That impacts everybody. And that's a big mistake I used to make, is I never really thought about how I was impacting other people. So that's the first thing I'd say. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think sometimes we have this false obligation that we just got to let anybody and everybody walk in and out of our lives and have whatever influence. And I know down here, Neil, we have made some of our religious ideas part of our cultural norms. And you tell someone, I'm going to be very picky with who hangs with me, you could get the pushback in some cultures in the area of this country, specifically the ones I'm in, the Bible Belt and other. Well, that's not very Christian. You're supposed to be like Jesus. And I was like, well, let's look at that. Let's look at that for a second. The last time I read, he only hung with 12, and out of the 12, 3 of them was the only ones that was tight with him. I mean, and you go back, well, I'm of the Jewish faith. Well, let's look at the Old Testament. It was only the people that was at a certain level that God allowed into the holies of holies, which was where he was hanging out. And then you had people at a different outer ring. Okay, you're in this court, or you're in this court, or you're in this, and the rings just kept going out based on who that person was, and the value they brought, and the value they could receive from the proximity of God himself. So if you're going to take a religious mindset or attitude that I can't do that, that's not, no, it is. It's very Christian. It's very godlike. It's congruent with every paradigm you want to look through. I love what you said. The circles you run. Sometimes we allow circles to become a noose, and they just kill and choke out any hope for growth.
Well, he used a good word too, being ruthless.
Yeah, I love that.
Being very intentional, like knowing what your reasoning is too. I love that. That's great.
I love that language.
That's good advice. Like he said, not only in business, but just in life. Look at where you want to go. Who are you around? And is that helping you get there? Is it good for the people that are with you?
Are you an asset or a liability?
Yeah, that's great.
And look at your culture as a balance sheet. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, even if you think about, like you mentioned, like if someone was going to give you pushback from the angle of, well, that's not Christian. Let's say I just have someone who's negative, and everything I say, they're like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Or why would you do that? Am I acting like a Christian if I just let that person walk on me? I'm not saying don't spend time to try and help other people, but letting someone else vomit on me, right? Vomit their negativity on me. I would posit that that's not Christian, because all I'm doing is I'm passively being dragged back. Now, the opposite of that is I can, at any point in time, I can live according to my values. And I think we all agree that we should. And that's really, to me, being Christian. And I could also have a period of time where I say to someone, I could say, all right, I'm intentionally going to try and help other people. My lights just went out. I apologize. I have movement sensors for my life. But I can intentionally say, I'm going to spend X amount of time a week where I try to help other people. But it doesn't mean it's unlimited.
Right.
There's nothing ethical or Christian about just saying, I'm going to let other people in an unlimited fashion vomit on me. Yeah. So that's another thing to think about is, Reagan hit it exactly right. My 2 buzzwords for this year are, one is integrity and one is intentionality. You can pick your time, but pick your time. If you're not, you've got to understand that that negativity, if it starts dragging you back because you're saying, well, I'm not in control. Everyone else can do what they want to do around me because I'm a bad person if I don't just let everyone do what else they want to do. You've got to really think that through. If that's really what someone thinks their life is for, to just let everyone else do what they want and they're never acting as a prime mover, I would respectfully disagree with that.
Absolutely.
But yes, if you want to take time and intentionally say, this is my time, or I talk to other people and I try to fill them with a better message, with a better mindset, we'll talk about, not only their ethics and their morality, but their mindset. I'm with you. But to just say they're allowed to do that because that's the way it's been and that's what I've always done, and don't expect to get better results. And as a matter of fact, you should expect to get worse results. Think of it as using an axe and never sharpening it. You're going to get decreasing results out of that axe. You always have to be sharpening your axe. But if you're going to say, no, everyone else gets to do what they want, and I just keep swinging my axe, eventually you're going to get dragged back. So that's, I completely agree with you, but I think it does make sense for someone who might get that pushback to really think. You need to think through what someone else is saying about you trying to be your best self.
Yeah. Yeah, love that. Well, guys, you've been listening to the one and only Neil O'Reilly, my brother from another mother up there in the Big Apple. We talked him out of that big skyscraper to come on TW3 tonight and hang out with us for a little bit. We hope you're enjoying these photo bombs, value bombs that he is dropping left and right. When we get back, we're going to get into how to thrive and not just survive. We're going to hit some points, some tools that you can be using, some mindsets, some market shifts you need to know about and be aware of, and some activities that you can be doing right now to grow your business and thrive even in the most challenging times. So we'll be back right after this. In retail, restaurant, insurance, or any other type of business, your success will rise and fall on one word and one word only: leads. We have up to 225 million filtered and scrubbed, opted in leads. Leadsbyterry.com. Leadsbyterry.com. If you are a member, you have access to these leads at wholesale. Chapter 1. The 4 words that changed everything. Another day, another dollar. I just clocked in and was super excited. I finally felt like an adult. For the first time in my life, I was working for someone that wasn't a family member.
Hi, I'm Haven, and Terry Wilson's my dad. And the reason why I think I like this is it teaches me not only to earn money and work when I get older, how to earn it. It also teaches me how my dad used to live in the past, what he did, what was his first job, the reason why he came into this podcast sphere. So that's why I think I like his podcast and this audiobook.
Get the audio version of You Are Worth More at coachwithtw3.com. That's coachwithtw3.com. Get the first 2 chapters for free.
You're listening to TerryWilson3.com. TerryWilson3.com. Inspiring, informative, and entertaining content for the entrepreneur and small business owner.
All right. So in the second segment, now we're going to talk about not only ways to just survive in business, but now to how to thrive. So we're in the first quarter of 2022. There's a war in the Ukraine. There's inflation. There's supply chain issues. So a lot of people are concentrating on the negative and concentrating on how that's been impacting their business. We're starting to crawl out of COVID. So it's been tough for people for the last 2 years. So, how do we make it so that we don't look at those as obstacles, but we really see them for the opportunities they are? And that's the first thing. The first thing you have to do is, I think everything starts with mindset. So you have to change your perspective on how you're going to see this. None of this is really an obstacle. Everything is an opportunity. And the first thing to realize is that most people want to see it as an obstacle. So if you're the guy who sees it as an opportunity, you're already winning. You're already one step ahead of the game. So you've got to see everything as, it's you against you as soon as you wake up in the morning. Your mind wants to be conservative because from an evolutionary standpoint, you got here because everyone survived. Everyone for the thousands of years before you survived. They didn't survive because they went out and they jumped on the back of a saber-toothed tiger. They all learned how to be conservative.
I think that's how my family strand got here, though.
So, but it's true because so that's why people see things, and this is one thing we have to understand. That's why our mind goes to no, because no is how you live. No is how you get through day to day.
Yeah.
But we now have creature comforts. We don't need to survive now. We can do things because we don't have to worry about getting water and getting food today. So we could be a little more adventurous. So the first thing is what you're facing is not an obstacle. Everything you're facing is an opportunity. What opportunities do you want? What do you want to get out of this world? So that would be my first thing is once you walk into that room, understand that 98% of the people in that room are wondering, how am I going to get through this? So you're already ahead of the game if you're thinking, how am I really going to get what I want?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing is, how do you overcome that natural entropy of saying, today's not my day. It's too tough today. So besides your mindset, there's little hacks that I use every day now. And they sound silly, but they're not, because the more you do them, the more they work. The first is, as soon as you wake up in the morning, you're out of that bed within the minute. And the trick is go into the bathroom in your bare feet and walk on the tile, because the tile's cold. Now you're up. You're not getting back in that bed. If you wake up with an alarm, outstanding. The alarm's up, you're out within a minute, and you just get your feet going. What I like to do is I like to work out first thing in the morning. Sounds silly, but I'm sure you guys read that book about first thing in the morning, you make your bed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so you have a win. You did something. If you didn't do anything, you made your bed. The reason I like to work out in the morning is there were days I didn't work out. So if I've worked out now, I'm already better. I'm already better than I was yesterday. Even if it was a garbage workout, that's the best workout, because I didn't want to work out. I didn't have it. Maybe my legs were beat. Maybe my arms were tired, but I got my workout in, which means I did better than I could have done had I not worked out. So I'm already in a better place. So I get to carry that. Then when I take my shower, I end with a cold shower. No hot water at all. It's only on cold. I do that for no matter how long my shower is, for like 2 minutes.
Neil is raw dogging life here. I'm telling you.
You have to do it. One, it's really good for you, right? Cryotherapy is great for you. It's good for your, I don't know what, it's good for something. Right?
I can confirm.
Somebody told me it's good for me, and I'm going to buy it.
And I bought it.
Yeah, right? You have to. You have to find a reason why you're doing this nonsense. But here's the next thing. Throughout the day, I have to make tough phone calls. I have to make phone calls I don't want to make. I have to do things I don't want to do. Now I can say to myself, when I have to have that uncomfortable phone call, I get to say, I've already run, I've already lifted, and I took a freezing cold shower. This is easy compared to that. This is just a dumb phone call. Yeah. So for the rest of the day, I get to say to myself, this is all easier than what I did before 6:30. So that's a hack that I just use every day. Everything else, this is easy. I already did the cold shower. And trust me, for most people, there's very few people where the cold shower is not the toughest part of the day. You get in this habit, you're stronger mentally than everything else. I heard this great quote the other day. You have to make your thoughts stronger than your emotions, because when something comes up and you don't want to deal with it, that emotion is fear. Make your thoughts stronger than your fear. And if I've done my cold shower or my workout, I've already said to myself, I'm strong. I'm the kind of person who can do that. If I can do that, I can handle this. So you gotta be on your own side all day. And then the other trick I would have is, we already talked about it in the first segment, have a great community you can reach out to.
Yeah.
I reached out on Friday to Terry because I was thinking of, I'm telling everyone else this, Terry, I did this. But I reached out because I had to make a tough phone call, and I made a joke of it where I left a message for the person to say, give me a call back. And just so everyone else knows, I called up Terry to tell him I blamed him for the phone call.
And by the way, I bought it hook, line, and sinker.
He completely bought it. But the point is, I had this tough phone call to make. I leaned on myself, but then I also had friends where I could say I had to make this call. And Terry said, I understand why I had to make it, but good that you did. But I had someone I could lean on, even though I wasn't getting Terry to say, yeah, you can make the call. I at least had a community. I wasn't alone.
Right.
And Terry wasn't the only person I called. There was someone else I called to let them know I made the call. And again, it wasn't to say, get me to make this call. It was just to say, yeah, I've done it. I just kind of need to breathe on this for a moment.
Yeah.
So that to me is a huge thing that you have to be able to do. So those are two things I do. First, mindset. Second, I like to do physical tasks because they're always easier. You get them out of the way and you just tell yourself all day, I'm strong. I'm the kind of person who can do this kind of thing. It's me against me. If I've done this already, if I've done A, I can do B. And I use that trick all day. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on those.
No,
two
I
things.
love it, 'cause
I love the things I do, but
No, I love that because you're contextualizing your day and you're putting the hard right up front.
Yep.
So it's downhill from there. So I mean, I love that. He's putting himself in a headspace to where you're going downhill, not uphill throughout the day.
He's putting those hard things first, and he's doing it consistently, which builds habits,
Yeah.
and that builds confidence.
Yeah.
And so when he's talking about, looking at his other tasks, I got to make a phone call later. Well, the hard stuff's already done. I've got confidence because I took a cold shower. Yeah, I was with him up until the cold shower.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
That's when I was like, oh, cool, cold shower.
Hot water, if I'm being honest.
This guy's a maniac.
This guy's crazy. No, but maybe it's the trick is that
I might try that tomorrow.
But I'm thinking there's something to that. When he started, he said turning your obstacles into opportunities.
Right.
And that's really good. That's a good way to look at it. I know for us, something that we've been doing recently is, as long as we've been in business, we've been a part of that business opportunity market.
Right.
And we still are. I mean, it's still there. But a thing we've never really focused on was just the businesses alone.
Right. B2B marketing.
B2B marketing.
It's always been B2C.
It's majority B2C with a little bit of B2B, but lately it's been the struggle for a lot of people is finding good applicants.
Right.
Finding good people to hire. And people that need jobs aren't necessarily hurting to find a job because everybody's hiring.
Right.
And so we've been able to take that and go, this is an opportunity here. What do? We attract people. We generate these leads. Well, who can we contact? All these businesses that need help, and that's a process that we've been doing. That's part of my daily activities now. And so part of that is taking those obstacles, what market are you in? What's your struggle? And turning it into that opportunity. Because we're seeing great return on what we're doing now.
Neil,
Great
what Reagan's talking about is for the last, decade, we've been in spaces like real estate, insurance, and other places, but those specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been talking to people, hey, do you want to get in the insurance business? Hey, do you want to get in real estate business? Or hey, do you want to get in this type of business or whatever? And let us help you. We'll get you appointed with these various companies and we'll give you the tools and everything you need to generate the leads you need, yada, yada, yada. So that's always been our shtick. Here lately, it's not so much that we're going after the consumer and saying, hey, do you want to get in this business? It's we're going after the businesses because they are posting on Indeed, they're posting on ZipRecruiter, they're posting on LinkedIn, and they just can't get people to apply.
Yep.
They can't get people to respond. And they don't have the sort of technical sophistications and marketing sophistications to really drill down and find applicants like we've been able to accumulate for the last decade.
Yep.
So we have approached the businesses and said, hey, let us do some of the recruiting for you. And they have been, oh my gosh. And it's been a huge thing that we've been able to help. But it's the same coin, it's just the flip side.
And because we've done that as well, it's also opened up the business opportunity because I've had 3 or 4 conversations this week where I'll be talking to them about the role that we're looking to fill.
Yeah.
And we get into it and we talk about it and they think it's cool, yada, yada, yada. But then they go, well, what are you doing? And I tell them at the start, we're a third party. We just help vet these clients for these people, help people find jobs. Well, I tell them what I do. Well, we got started in insurance, the whole shtick. And they're more interested about
that component than they are.
And so, which goes to show you never know. Turning your obstacles into opportunities, like you were saying, that could lead to more doors. That could lead back to the start and help the thing that you wanted to do originally. You never know.
One conversation just leads to another, and it's pretty amazing.
If you need different results, stop thinking the same way. That's the other reason why you got to get in a different room, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
What you were doing isn't going to work. So I'm actually looking to start to add staff. So my opportunity with that is, I could go the old route of I'll give you X dollars and I'll give you these benefits, but this is what I want out of you. I don't really think I'm going for new people to work here. I'll tell you really who I think I'm going for. And you guys are probably, I think you're doing it a similar way. I really think I'm getting people who are unhappy, not unhappy, but they're dissatisfied with where they are. I have a different, because I'm intentional about my business. So this is a different way to think about it, right? We're all hearing about the great resignation.
Right.
Nobody wants to work because there's a lot of money right now that people are able to get from unemployment benefits. And a lot of people are just saying, I'm not going back to the office. I'm not dealing with anything. I can make just as much if I go get a minimum wage job. Why would I take your job? I'm looking to pay a little more than minimum wage, but I'm not thinking I have to max out the market. I'm not going just on money. If you come here, you're able to, because of the way, I'm a big one on systems. That's the other option of what I do with my business is when I add everyone in, I'm going to have a certain set of jobs that I do. Everything else is going to run on the system. We're not going to be making up anything. Nothing's going to be an audible. So I'm a big believer in the E-Myth. That's the book, The E-Myth by Gerber. But when someone comes here, they're going to be able to grow within that system. They're going to be given autonomy. They're going to be given, we're going to have from here, everything is thought out. This isn't going to be the kind of place where I'm going to sell you that nonsense of, during the day, oh, we're a family. I expect you to work, if your hours are 9 to 5. Oh, no, we're a family who works after 6.
I hate
But if you're 5 minutes late, I'm going to dock you an hour. Like, that's all gone.
Yeah.
If you're here, we have values. Everyone here, everyone here is an A-team member. Everyone is here. We're all looking to, if it's what you're going to do, you're going to help the client from every aspect of what you're going to do. Everything is going to be a positive experience. If the client comes in and isn't being, I want to use the word civil, but civil isn't it. But if the client isn't being a good client back to my employee, the client is gone, because it's not just the customer's always right. We're building, we are building, to me, I don't really like the family metaphor, but I have to treat everyone here like this is my house.
Right.
How would I want you treated in my house? So the office is our house. So if someone comes in and they're disrespectful to the people working with me, they're out.
Yeah.
That's what the people who I'm going to build this enterprise with, that's what they have to understand. We're a common enterprise here. We're all working together. So as I'm looking to get people in, there are people who are going to want that. They're not going to need, because of that, everybody needs money. But this isn't going to be a place where we're looking, you're not going to come here because I've maxed out the money. If you're looking for the $1 more, I'm not for you.
Right.
Right. There's always going to be someone who's going to pay you more. They're probably going to treat you differently though, because it's an older paradigm.
Yeah.
So, but that's the opportunity that I see. I firmly believe that if I give people the opportunity to work in a place where they're doing what they love, that's the first thing. You're not just going to come and you're going to do everything for them. You're going to be put in the position of what you like to do best, what you're able to do best, and that's what you're going to do. So if you're a people person, you're not going to be dealing with the books.
Right.
You're not going to be dealing with document corruption. By this the other side of it, if you're someone who's more of that round peg, round hole kind of person, doesn't really like dealing with people, I'm not going to have you dealing with people. You're going to be able to thrive in the way you can thrive. And we're going to have a place where everything we do, since everything we do here is intentional, it's a better environment for you. So because of that, maybe you're traveling a little less, or maybe you're even, whatever you're doing, I don't think I have to max out. Dollars isn't the big thing for me here, because if I reduce you to dollars, that's it. You're $1 to me.
Mm-hmm.
I see an opportunity in that. I think that there are people now who are realizing, yeah, there's money I have to make, but if I can have a better quality of life, if I can have my professional life work hand in hand with the home life I'm trying to create, that's the person I want.
That's right.
Because of that, I don't believe I need to just compete on dollars.
Well, see, you're nailing something there, Neil. I honestly believe you're I think you've got your ears to the ground. You sort of understand what's in the zeitgeist here, and a lot of people don't. You're competing with culture, not cash. Everybody's trying to throw cash at something, but the market, the job market specifically, saying, we don't like the culture. We want the culture to change. And something that you just hit too, that's just, I thought Reagan was brilliant. When leadership, when management, when ownership is more concerned about, and yes, you got to take care of your customers, but the first priority is your team. You take care of your team will take care of the customers and take care of you. But how many times have we seen bad leadership, bad management, bad culture, to where the employees mean nothing, the team members mean nothing, and it's all about, this person here, this person there. Yep. That just undermines any positive culture you're trying to create.
Well, he said something really good, which I liked a lot, and that's there's always somebody out there that can pay more.
Yeah.
I'm not competing with that. I'm competing on how I'm treating you, what you get from this job, and
Culture.
yeah, he's fine tuned to what people are needing.
Yeah,
it's smart.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
And these guys that are still trying to use the old paradigm, the old model of, because we're working with some companies, and one of the companies is their top management, the CEO of a major corporation is like, nope, everybody has to come in 9 to 5. They're still going to be here. And it's in a type of business that really doesn't require that. But because he's stuck in that paradigm, it's making their recruiting efforts almost impossible. And they're throwing a ton of cash at people.
And you hear it. You hear it in those phone calls too when you have those interviews with your applicants, and you go, "Oh, well, this might be the thing, and you'll be here this many days." And they go, "For this role," because we've had interviews in various fields, and every time if it's, well, you're going to be doing this, but you need to be there every day, and you kind of hear it in their voice that they've already kind of made that decision. It's like, you're one of those companies, gotcha.
Yeah.
And so the way he's planning this ahead of time and going, no, I'm not competing with it. How are you treated? How do you are you gaining something of value to you as a person when you're here? It's smart. Yeah. It's genius.
And I don't mind the word family as long as it's a healthy family. And healthy means boundaries.
Yeah. Well, the problem is the way family gets used in business a lot.
Yeah.
It's, we're family when it benefits management.
Yeah.
But we're a business when we're talking about,
Right.
If you just first of all, you're just calling them an employee, that's your first problem, right?
Yeah.
Because you've already created an us against them.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to think of it more as a team, but your family's a team, right? That's the first team you're ever on, no matter what.
Yeah.
So to me, that's why it's important. But I don't like to just throw family out there glibly, because I do think sometimes that's kind of a buzzword for.
Yeah.
I'm really going to step on it.
It's abused. It's one of those words that gets abused by bad leadership and management.
Right.
And it's a way of coercion and getting people to soften up when you need them to soften up, but then be the hammer if they're 5 minutes late, whatever, when you asked them to be an hour long the day before.
Yep.
So totally get that. Well, guys, you are listening to Neil O'Reilly and Reagan in the studio with me today, and we're talking about how to not just survive but thrive in this current economic and societal state that we're in. And it's a great opportunity to scale and gain market share. And you just heard from Neil, you don't even have to throw the most cash at people. And Reagan's on the front lines vetting for people. It's not necessarily the cash. We've got some clients that are throwing tons and tons of cash at people, and they're opting to go to even an entrepreneurial opportunity that has no guarantees, no cash, no benefits, no retirement, no 401k. And they're saying, but I want freedom. And so it's just a mindset that has shifted in society that you got to be ready for if you want to take advantage of it. So when we get back from here, we got some questions that came in through email that Reagan will be answering. And Neil's going to help me field some of these questions. And when we get back, we'll get into that right after this. Earners are learners and leaders are readers. So if you want to go to the next level, you do have to grow to the next level. And that's why I offer free audiobooks at TerryWilson3.com/free book. That's TerryWilson3.com/free book. When you go over there, you're going to get to try the service out for 30 days free. No obligation. And you get a free audiobook just for checking it out at TerryWilson3.com/free book. Here are some reviews of members who are using the brand new TW3 app.
Well, you kind of outdid yourself on this application. Man, there are some nice bells and whistles in here. I mean, this thing is able to do and function in ways that combine a number of different applications together and seamlessly communicate. It's integrated. If you look at my app, you'll say, here's an example of somebody that just got in here and started playing around. No, it's fun, man. It is a fantastic application. And, the funnels, the tracking system, the opportunity, the CRM is all, I love it. It's beautiful. And once, it just takes some time. And then once you do it over and over again, it becomes easier, so the more time you spend working at it, the easier it gets.
To harness the power of the new TW3 app, go to TerryWilson3.com today or call, text, or email your authorized TW3 member.
You're listening to TerryWilson3.com. TerryWilson3.com. Inspiring, informative, and entertaining content for the entrepreneur and small business owner. Here's your host, Reagan Wilson.
Hey everybody, we're back. We've got your questions here that came in through email. And just a heads up, if you'd like to submit your questions so we can ask them and read them on the podcast, you can do that by going to TerryWilson3.com and filling out that chat bot, or you can text Terry.
Text 864-507-9696. I was checking my text.
No, you're good.
864-507-9696.
So our first question here, Terry, I have a food truck and would like to be able to let people know where I'll be next. Sometimes I don't know my next location until a day or so in advance. So is there a way to notify my customers other than a Facebook post? I'm not against using social media, but I've heard many of my customers say they never see it or it's too late to catch me.
Yeah, that's the problem with social media a lot of times. The thing I would encourage you to do, if you're not doing this yet, start everybody that comes to your food truck. I don't know what you're selling, but somehow get their name, number, and email address. Because if you can do that, you have a direct connection with them. And then we've got some tools that will bulk email, bulk text. Hey, I'm going to be at such and such time today for lunch. Come by and see me. Bring this coupon in and get, a free drink or whatever. I mean, but you can incentivize people to follow your food truck all over the town or community that you serve. But definitely, because social media is rented space, and the problem is nowadays, especially if you got a business page, unless you're paying Zuckerberg, some coin, he don't get your message out there, but to so many people, so it's just the way of the world.
Alrighty. Got our second question here. I've worked a 9 to 5 for the past 12 years, but since the shutdown, I've sort of grown accustomed to working from home. Same. My employer is forcing us all to come back in. Hate that. So I'm really considering going independent and starting my own business. You should. Very nervous here, but what would you tell someone that's thinking about a startup, especially right now?
Yeah, well, I would ask you some questions. Number one, do you have the financial margin to take the risk to start something? Because there is risk involved when you do anything for yourself, working for yourself. So make sure you've got some, margin in your life there. Number two, I would tell you to stay in your lane initially. And what I mean by that, for instance, when I started out, what I'm doing here, I was doing insurance only. Why? Because that was the field. Was what I knew. And so it's not what I wanted to do, but it's what I knew to do. And so I did that first. And then as I grew my business, it sort of pivoted into just being the dumb redneck, working in his pajamas like you see now and hanging out with smart people like Neil O'Reilly. But I couldn't do that at first. You had to start somewhere. So I would say, find, the area that you have the most experience, expertise, and, competence in, and go there. And then thirdly, don't be afraid to do a side hustle for a little bit. That's the other thing. You don't have to jump into this thing head first. And some of the things that we offer you over at TW3, we try our best to mitigate as much risk as possible. There's still risk involved, but we have some creative financing, so you don't have to come off the hip thousands of dollars up front. So that's one thing that helps on the cash flow. Two, we have some systems in place that we, in writing, say if you'll do it our way, not the way you think, not the way you want, not the way you're comfortable with, but you do it our way, we guarantee you results. We have a 90-day money made guarantee. Now it's not a money back guarantee, but a money made. And what we do is we take out all the expenses from therefore on out if it doesn't work out. But knock on wood, 9 years now we've been doing this, 8 years, whatever, that guarantee program, we have never had to pay out on that or do anything because it works. I mean, it's just a numbers game, but it's a way of, and just in full transparency, it's a way we hold people accountable, because then you can't say, well, I tried Terry's system, it don't work. Well, no, let's look, because you have to verify I'm doing these activities, this is what I'm doing and all that. But we say if you do it, it's going to yield results.
Do we want to get from Neil? I think he could probably.
Yeah, Neil, what mindsets or anything you want to speak to if someone's wanting to pivot from full time to maybe doing something independent? What would you tell that person?
The first thing I would say is, look, I'm a little more aggressive than a lot of people in my mentality. I used to be a prosecutor, and I used to view every trial as almost like a physical event. Like, you were not going to beat me, right?
You're getting in the ring with Mike Tyson.
Well, there's nothing physical about it, but like, that's my mindset. The same way you think about, I'm not going to lose this fight, you have to think about, I'm not going to lose this case.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get outworked.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, you really want to do it. Like you said, if you're going to do it as a side hustle, which is a great thing, how much are you, before you think like, oh, I don't have time for a side hustle, how much TV do you watch? How much social media do you do? How are you spending your time that you shouldn't be spending your time? Because think of your time, it's literally money. You can literally look at it that way. So if you have, what do you have, 168 hours a week? How are you spending those hours? How much are you wasting time on television or social media? So if you got rid of, and be ruthless, really pay attention to that. If you got rid of 8 hours a week, that's enough to start a business. So that's your first thing. You have to look at it as, I'm not going to get outworked here today. I'm not going to eat junk food, which is TV or something like that. So that's all gone. And if I'm doing that, the next thing you should do is, it is physical. Eat right, sleep well, take care of yourself, because now you're upping what you're going to be doing. And it sounds silly, but it's not. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. So you want to stay up later, you want to have more focus, you want to work 9 to 5 and then get your side hustle going, you need more energy. So you got to take care of yourself. You have to, and if you can't take care of yourself, if you're really going to say, I can't get to bed earlier, I can't eat better, I can't, do the basics to take care of myself. You can. If you're saying you can't, you're lying to yourself. But if you can't do those things, let's be real, you're probably not going to do the side hustle. And it's because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So how much do you want it? So look at it again as, this is a fight. This is you against you. And then after you do that, I agree with everything you said about that. It's just, the next thing is from what Reagan said before when we started, be consistent.
Yeah.
You want everything, you have to think of what you're doing as, I want to be my best. I don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the best at anything. Be your best. And every day be a little bit better. And every day consistently work to be a little bit better. And if you really did that, if you really tried to be your best every day, and you didn't lie to yourself, you didn't say, oh, it's okay, I could cut a corner here, I could cut a corner there. Really be your best. You might be worse than you were yesterday, but that's what you were capable of. And if you really tried, it would not take you long to be amazing at whatever you're doing. So that's how I would, that would be, besides all the practical, mechanical stuff that Terry said, be intentional. And if you're really intentional about it every day, you'll get whatever you want. So whether you, if you do have the margin to stop, outstanding. But even if you don't, you could start this on the side. And there's a lot of really successful people that started what they started on the side.
Absolutely. And there is something about the way you'll find this funny, Neil, but the way my grandfather taught me to swim was he threw me in an 8-foot pool and said, swim. And there's something about when you just get thrown in over your head, there's an intentionality. There is a focus that gets on someone when that level of do or die, sink or swim gets on you. So, that's the other thing. Know yourself. Some of the things I try to do is I put myself in a situation where I'm going to be the most focused, the most intentional, most motivated. And that means for me, unfortunately, sometimes I have to burn bridges. I have to burn the boats. I have to be out there by myself, because if I have a way back, it's just like right now. I went up in my closet and I threw out every single extra large shirt I had. And the reason is because as long as I've got them hanging up in my closet, I've got a wardrobe to go back to if I ever get off and you just can't do that.
Yeah.
And just to be transparent with everyone, I'm saying to do these things now. I'm not telling you I've done this my whole life. I haven't. Terry knows I used to be a crazy overthinker. The way I learned to swim and the way I learned to ride a bike was I was the youngest and smallest on the block. And everyone else was doing it, and I didn't want to be left out. So I jumped on a bike and I rode it down the block, and I did not know how to stop that bike. So I learned to jump off on someone else's grass. I jumped in the pool because everyone else was swimming, and I wasn't going to be the kid who wasn't going to swim. So I jumped in the pool, and my mother almost had a heart attack. That's how I learned those things. And then I learned after a while to overthink things. And I would wait for things to be perfect. Now my attitude with things is, if it's something I really want, I say yes, and then I figure it out.
Yeah.
So I don't want anyone to think like, oh, this guy's telling us like, oh, this is how he lived all the time. It's not. But I was wildly unhappy when I thought too much. And you wait for everything to be perfect. So I've done that. It was terrible. So you can learn from my mistakes. You don't have to replicate my bad results. If you want to, have at it. I don't recommend it, but go for it. But, so I'm just telling you, I've done the other thing. The way I'm doing it now is much cooler. It's better for me in every way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. There's a lot of good gems in there.
Yeah.
Third question here. Oh, this is a quick one. Are we doing a conference this year?
Yes, we do plan on doing a conference, knock on wood, and we can do it, and when I say can, COVID doesn't come back crazy or something, or we're in the middle of a war or something goofy, but barring anything outside of our control, yeah, we're planning on doing a conference. It's probably more than likely going to be in September. Since we did last year's in September, I think everybody was cool with that sort of time frame and everything. I think it's a better, it just fits the pace of what we do a little bit better. And so, yes.
Cool. Last question here. Touched on this a little bit. Terry, what are some current problems that would be easier to solve for others to be able to start a profitable service or even business?
Well, let me throw that to Neil. Neil, what's some current things you're helping in your marketplace that you're offering in your legal counsel and that's going on?
I have completely changed the way I do business. I don't really look at what I do as primarily a law firm anymore. I do estate planning now.
Okay.
I've gotten out of the litigation game. I have one matter left that's litigation. As soon as that's done, I don't take any more. I'm in the education and coaching space. That's what I do.
Love it.
So I'm doing my first live post-COVID seminars end of this month. If enough people show up, all I do is tell them, because a lot of people come and they say, I know what I need for an estate plan. I know what I need. I know why I need it. They based on what they think is the universe of knowledge, what they're saying is right. So I just view my job as, I'm going to let you know what the real state of affairs is. I'm going to let you know what's out there. You can choose to have me be the attorney who helps you. Maybe you'll take my recommendation, or maybe you'll stick with your original idea, or maybe you'll do that, but you'll do it with someone else. With all those things, what I really give people, the value I really give people is I let them know what's the reality. I let them know this is what your future, really, it's not even your future. It's what your family's future holds if you don't take action. You'll either take it with me or you'll take it with someone else. No matter what, you'll have peace of mind. At the end of that, the way I do it is documents. So it used to be I would think about what I did is I gave people documents. That's not what I do anymore. I give them knowledge, I give them coaching, I give them an idea how to take care of themselves and their family, and then documents are a part of it. So that's one of the ways I look at it, is my value, that's what I give people. I give them something to know, and I give them peace of mind for not just them, but for their family. When the rubber has hit the road and you have a problem, how did you take care of your family? How did you make life easy for them? And how does that allow them to take better care of you and each other.
Love
And
it.
that's how I've completely changed my business without really completely changing my business, but that's my focus. So my focus now is completely on service and value. So if there's something that you're particularly good at, how would you help someone with that? And it might, the way you deliver that might not, like for me, it's documents. For someone else, it might be, I don't know what it might be, whatever that person's business is, even insurance. If someone's selling insurance, this is why, you might think I need life insurance and health insurance, but this might be why you actually need to have a bigger level of coverage. Or if someone is let's say someone is in the real estate field, you might have thought previously, I need to get a house or I need to get a bigger house. You might be able to educate people on, well, this is what you could really do with your house. This is what you should really be thinking about as far as what schools are in the area. This is do you want a side hustle? Do you want it to be real estate investing? Well, this is now how we can think about your primary residence so you can start getting into real estate investing.
Mm.
So at the end of the day, you're selling someone a house, but you didn't just sell them a house.
Right.
What you did was you showed them how they can provide for their family in the best possible way, and they can also provide for their future in the best possible way. A house was the end thing you sold them, yes, but you didn't just sell them a house. You gave them everything else. You gave them that peace of mind that that's what they were really chasing. They just didn't know it. So that would be my advice: is think differently about what you're delivering to people. And it should always come down to service and value. If you're giving service and value, you could charge more than anyone else in your market. Again, like we talked about before, if all I'm giving the people who work with me is money, all I can expect from them is showing up. That's it. I gave them, it's a money for a thing. If I'm giving them value in what they're doing, I can expect a little more out of them.
I love
And
it.
if what we're doing for your clients, if what you're giving them is service and value, that's just a different way to think about what you really want to do in this world.
Yeah, love that. And what you just heard, family, is I'm gonna stop using that word now. What you just heard, TW3 listeners, audience, is how Neil has reframed what he offers to be more than just legal services, but value and service as well. And it's all wrapped in educating people and putting value, because at the end of the day, if all you do is offer product A or service A, then you are a commodity at that point, and it's the lowest price, and so he's getting out of that game. So that's brilliant. And you might be listening or watching tonight live or listening to us later and say, well, I'm not an attorney, I'm not an insurance agent, I'm not a real estate guy. Well, anything that you know how to do, that you've developed some expertise, it could be as complicated and as difficult as raising children. And I say complicated, I didn't say as simple as, because it's not. Right. It could be as complicated and as difficult and as hard as raising children. Maybe you want to come out with some training on, here's some things I've worked with, child A who has this personality type, and here's some things that we went through, and here's some things that we did that fixed this. Information is power, and we live in the information age, but we don't live in the wisdom age. And I would say the more people that are wise about things, that can give information out there, you're going to have value. You're just going to give value. If you could be recipes. Here's how I cook. And, we have figured out a way, because we're on this program right now and we can't have, sauces like ketchup and things like that. We have figured out a way to make a faux ketchup, and it tastes great out of red roasted peppers and some spices and stuff, and we learned it from someone else that's a chef that was doing this. And, no, it's not exactly Heinz ketchup, but, for your hankering for, a sauce or something, it works. And so that's brilliant. And we paid a few bucks to get
the recipe,
to get all kinds of things that this chef offers. So information is power, and you can bring so much value. So
That's great. Do we got any more questions there?
That was the end of our questions. That was our last question.
Oh, man. Well, when we get back, we got a couple announcements, and then we're going to get out of here. I know Neil's got to get back up there on the skyscraper and, wrestle something. I don't know what's going on, but when we get back, we'll close the show out right after this. If you've watched my podcast any, you know that I love hats. As a matter of fact, if you see any of my blogs or written content, half the time I'm in a hat. And there's a reason for that. The older I've gotten, I've lost hair, and it keeps the sun off my head, or it keeps me warm. But nevertheless, the quality hat's harder and harder to find. Michael and I were down in Charleston the other week and ran across a hat company called Gorin Brothers. Been in business forever, and they make nothing but quality hats. You can get a fedora, flat cap straws, packables, knit troopers, baseball caps, you name it, they've got it. And you're not going to beat the quality, the craftsmanship, and the material they use. You're just not. And I thought all hats were created equal until I put one on my head. And I was like, good Lord, this feels so good. It breathes. It keeps the sun off my head so I don't get burnt. And I just love it. And so if you want a quality hat, go to Gorin.com or go to TerryWilson3.com/hats. It takes you to the same place. They're not an affiliate of ours. This is not a paid advertisement. I just love their hats, and I think you will too. If you mention this podcast, because I asked them, hey, can I advertise for you and give a little back? Because the real reason I'm doing this is to give value to you, to give you a discount on something if you like it. And they said they would. So they're going to offer our listeners a 15% discount if you just mention the podcast and say, hey, Terry said, I got a 15% discount at TerryWilson3.com just by calling you. And you can also call them if you don't want to go to the website, 843-518-4287. That's 843-518-4287. It's the Gorin Brothers hat company. Don't be boring. Go get you a Gorin hat.
You're listening to TerryWilson3.com. TerryWilson3.com. Inspiring, informative, and entertaining content for the entrepreneur and small business owner.
All right, we are back. I'm in the studio here with the man, the legend, the way of life up there in New York, the Big Apple, my brother from another mother, Neil O'Reilly. Neil, thank you so much for being on tonight.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. This was great.
Oh,
and Reagan, congratulations on getting your name in the bumper.
Thank you. Just what I needed.
He got one intro, and they got two. You got segment 2.
Yeah, I got 2 intros today and a whole little bumper there.
A whole little bumper.
I'm moving up.
You're moving up. Before long, you'll be over this whole operation, and I'll be on a golf course somewhere with Neil. But anywho, so we got some things going on this coming Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Elite members be on that mastermind. We've got some great stuff I want to show you that's coming out. Also, if you would like to hang out with me in a live conversation I'm having with Cliff Ravenscraft this coming Thursday at 3 p.m., I'll be speaking with him live at Clubhouse. And if you would like to be part of that live audience and conversation, just text the word Clubhouse to 864-507-9696. That's the word Clubhouse to 864-507-9696, and we can get you the link. And if you're not connected with me, you can connect there as well. And you can, when I go live with anyone else or myself, you'll get that alert as well. I know you're not a Braves fan, Neil, but we just lost one of our sort of iconic players here. Freddie Freeman. You're a baseball fan in that regard, so you probably know that. So it brings me to that old Jerry Seinfeld joke. At the end of the day, all we're doing as baseball fans is pulling for laundry. That's all it is. Because it breaks.
You're gonna have to elaborate.
Well, because in baseball, trades go on, and your team that's on the field this year is going to look a lot of times a lot different than the year prior, and then so it's really you're pulling for that jersey, those people out there that's wearing that particular uniform. So anywho,
I'd say I didn't know this is my live reaction here. The Dodgers, really?
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario.
I'm telling you.
That's like they took your best player and then flicked you off while they did it. That's awful. It's terrible.
Neil, have you ever had a ball player? Let's see, your team is the Mets, isn't it? Or is it the Yankees?
My team used to be the Mets. I do not root for the Mets anymore.
Okay. Well, now I gotta know the story behind that. How come we don't root for the Mets anymore?
Well, it started with the Wilpons when they lost all their money to Madoff and they weren't trying to win. We were just trying to make money back for billionaires, so they were just pulling money out. So that was out. And now the owner is Steve Cohen, who's a reprehensible person. I'm not going to root for the team anymore.
Gotcha.
I don't care. I don't watch them. I don't want to be any source of him making any more money. And
I like Neil.
I mean, when's the last time someone really wanted to play for the Mets? So I don't care.
That's true.
I'll watch the World Series and that's it.
I got you. Well, are you a Yankees fan, or who do you pull for now if you don't pull for the Mets?
I don't.
You just don't. You're agnostic
If the Yankees go far, I'll root for them. But day to day, I can't be bothered. I'll be honest.
He said he's a reprehensible human being. I wish him no success.
Well, my favorite.
Well, it's like I said before. How am I going to spend my time?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's right.
So I've just made the determination that I don't have discretionary time to just line the pockets of billionaires. I don't have to.
I love it. I love it. Love the attitude. Well, anyway. Well, guys, it's been a great show. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. We hope you got value. Make sure you like and subscribe to this if it did bring value to you, and drop us a note in the chat of any platform you're watching or listening this to, either on YouTube or on the website or at iTunes or Stitcher. Let us know what's going on. If you do have questions for the show, the way these emailed questions got on is they texted it to 864-507-9696, or they went to terrywilson3.com. We will be back next Monday night, same bat channel, same bat time at 8 p.m. And until next time, we will see you later.
Thank you for listening to our show today. If you have any questions or would like to speak with us about your goals, then please call or text us at 864-507-9696. Reach out to us online at terrywilson3.com.